look so different with your glasses off.
Right. I can do that when I'm on camera. I can't do that out in the world because I have to have them to see. It's funny when years ago when you get into your 40s, and Stephen, you with your experience in optometry, you know all this stuff. You get into your 40s, your vision changes where even if you don't need glasses, you may need them for reading. And I've worn glasses my whole life for distance. So in my 40s, things changed, and all of a sudden, I was wearing glasses for work, and I worked in a building where, even though I had my office, I was up and down a lot. I was out in the plant where we manufactured products, down in our training center. So if we were setting up for workshops or training or doing anything, I have to put my glasses on, go downstairs, and go do this stuff. And then I would come back to my office, and in front of my computer, my glasses were such that I couldn't see the screen. So I'd take my glasses off. Spent about maybe a year of fighting with glasses on and off, on and off. And where's my glasses at? They'd be on my head or something along those lines. So I finally took the plunge and went to the transitional bifocal kind of thing. And my world changed. I didn't have to worry about losing my glasses anymore. I could wear the same pair of glasses like I'd been doing all my life to look at the computer screen and still be able to drive. So the joys of aging. All right, we're just waiting on two more, and we'll get started here as they rush into the classroom for us. Okay, how's everybody coming with testing? You guys all, I saw everybody look like they were already done with the first two. Tyler, I think you were done with the first one. You were working on your second one. Anybody started on their third test?
I finished the third one.
I haven't taken it.
Okay. Nelson, you do it all the time. You muted yourself, bud.
No, I did pre-test on the third one.
Okay. If you guys have questions with them, just text me or send me an email. I'll be looking over that one and be available to help with that. I did the what did I do? I was working on your guys' time studies, putting that information together yesterday. So uploading a lot of information. The software is very intricate, so there was a lot of data entry. So I'm not quite done with that to be able to give you guys information back. I'll have that completed for you tomorrow. There was just, like I said, there was quite a bit of stuff there. So we've got, like, I got the project work done. I've been working on the schools, getting that. So, and then I put some information together for you guys. I'm going to try and simplify today. We'll talk a little bit about your final projects and simplify that just a little bit more for you guys. So, and then today we're going to do something a little bit of a sidestep, but it's something that needed to be covered, and I want to make sure we cover it before we wrap up our training for you guys. And that is dealing with pandemics or epidemics. How do we deal with that in our world, in the cleaning industry? And that's going to be the focus of today's lesson. This is not out of your book. There won't be any testing information. ISSA has not come out and added that information specifically as a training portion of their classes. They're building a lot, and there's a lot of material I'll be sharing with you that I've also uploaded into the Google Classroom. And so that'll be the bulk of our discussion for the next hour, and then we'll wrap up talking about your final projects. So that being said, let me, I want to record this lesson for today, and that way everybody has that to reference. So.
Recording in progress.
So with what we are all dealing with, we're coming to the point now. Businesses are opening back up. State of California has announced that looks like in June we should be back up to full open, and we're returning to our normal work environment. But one of the things that has occurred through this whole pandemic is it has exposed our weaknesses. It has exposed us to a lot of different things, and helps us to realize the importance of our role in the cleaning profession as the frontline workers who really serve as a protection to our communities. Our roles in the cleaning world help to protect our customers in our buildings, our communities, our families, because of the work that we do. And from that standpoint, we also have to think about not just a pandemic in the form of what we specifically dealt with in relation to COVID-19, but also epidemics, things that are not spread worldwide, but maybe are occurring within a facility or perhaps in a region that may need to be dealt with. And each of these, whether it's a pandemic or epidemic, can be dealt with not only through the medical profession, but as frontline workers for us to respond to and protect a facility. And that's going to be a little bit of our discussion this morning as we deal with it. When we think of these situations, I give you an example of what I mean by an epidemic. Those of us with kids who are either in school, gone through school, simple things that are epidemics would be the flu that goes around the school, right? Every year there's the flu virus. And, what are we doing as a community? We get the flu shots. As families, we try to protect our families and help to keep everybody healthy. As cleaning professionals, we will clean and disinfect a facility to protect everybody, right? That's part of our role in just daily cleaning. But what happens when we have an epidemic that spreads quickly through a community? Maybe it is a virus that is a strain that is spreading. Or if we're dealing with a healthcare facility, there's a variety of viruses or different pathogens that can be spread that are localized. For example, in a healthcare facility, we might think of COVID-19 as the pandemic, but what about a simple thing like C. difficile, okay, which is a virus that can be spread in a healthcare facility, and it can spread quickly, and it makes a lot of people sick. Or those of us who like to travel, and we're dealing with traveling, things like norovirus. We've heard of cruise ships with getting the norovirus. One of the biggest problems that was occurring right before this pandemic hit is the outbreak of norovirus within cruise ships, and the cruising industry had been taking a big hit. We would hear of cruise ships where, hundreds of people would be sick on a cruise ship. And what do? Well, norovirus could be spread in a healthcare facility. It could even occur in a school or other areas. So that's what we mean by just epidemics. Maybe it's not something that is as deadly as COVID-19, but still can make people very sick, and people who have compromised immune systems, it can be deadly for them. So what can we do in those regards? So before we kind of get into discussing what some of the great best practices and things that we would do, I wanted to open it up a little bit of a discussion with you guys. What do you think? What can we do to protect our communities as cleaning professionals? Thoughts?
I think we would have to come up with a plan that everybody could be on board to take the hygiene more serious and put in effect.
Okay.
Because
So go ahead.
because without taking hygiene serious, then we or people will continue doing will continue doing our bad habits, not washing our hands, not doing not cleaning up after ourselves and wiping down whatever we touch.
Mm-hmm. You know, to add on to what you're saying there, Nelson, you know, one of the biggest things that happens, and we all do it, it is just the nature of us as a society. We're very responsive. We're not as proactive as we should be. And we don't get proactive until after something happens. So what happened? COVID-19's hit, and now everybody responded. We took a lot of extreme measures. Businesses were shut down. Schools were shut down. We all went to wearing masks. We, were disinfecting things. We're washing our hands. And I'll be the first to admit that the steps I'm taking now are maybe not as extreme as what we took last summer when we were at the height of this pandemic. We get more relaxed, we get comfortable, right? And to what you're saying, are we still taking it serious? You know, even though COVID-19 is starting to get under control, it's not eradicated by any means, but it's starting to get under control. Are we still taking this virus serious? What's the next one that's out there that we don't know about? And it's not a scare tactic, but it is, to what you just said, really important for us to have plans and to implement protocols now to help us to protect against this being nearly as bad the next time, right? So what are some of those protocols? What are some of the things that you saw that we did that could be implemented and continued on into our society as new processes or protocols that we would do, maybe specifically to the cleaning industry? What things did we do? What came out of the COVID-19?
A lot more wiping down, touch points, and cleaning.
Yeah, very good. Absolutely. That was a big one. Anything else?
Kind of learning different ways and different methods that we didn't, I wouldn't say take serious, but like wiping down the back of the chairs, or the legs of the chairs, or the bottom of the top of the desks, etc., the areas that kids touch. We would wipe the top down, but we would never think about the other areas because it wasn't like there was no cooties or whatever, that you had to wipe everything down.
Well, let me ask you, let's take that a step further. Prior to COVID-19, how often were desks being disinfected by custodians?
Not that often. Whenever time the desk be disinfected, or when a student would write on it, or when we do deep cleaning.
Right, which wasn't daily. It may not have even been weekly, right? Now, to that extent, some schools were better than the others, where back a couple of years back, some districts were different, that they would allow students, in some districts even encourage students to bring disinfectant wipes to school as maybe their starter package. I know in Colorado, where my kids went to school, it was practice that when they came for the beginning of school, everybody had to bring in a package of the Clorox wipes, right? And not just one, but like the multi-pack. And that would give, if you took 20 students and they did this, that would give them enough of an inventory that the students, as part of their practice, would wipe down their desks. But even that, not all teachers were doing it on a daily basis. Did touch points get done? Likely, probably not. Don, your comment.
Yeah, speaking kind of, going off of that, before sanitizer was like forbidden in outgrowth schools. Now you see it everywhere. Now it's acceptable. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how much that has changed.
Yeah, you know what, Don, you're absolutely right. I remember that they had gotten to the point that they had banned it, and there was a reason for it. There was the concern over the health risk um, of hand sanitizer because of the alcohol. But what happened? One risk was outweighed by another. Okay, the potential for fire or it being spilled and catching on fire was this. The chance of somebody getting COVID-19, we all know, was just through the roof. So it absolutely got outweighed. Nelson.
Yeah.
I know before the pandemic happened, it been a couple of teachers has they set out hand sanitizer by the door because they have health problem, and not only that, students always have colds and they always touching things.
Yeah. Okay, so therein is another one, is the touching, right? We all learned about social distancing through COVID-19. Do you think we will continue a lot of that social distancing in the future? So if we don't, right, because we all know we're going to go back to going to baseball games and football games and, you know, packed out stadiums and concerts and those things. That's part of the joy of the American way of life. You know, we enjoy those things, and it's fun when you can be in those environments. But from those standpoints, from a cleaning standpoint, that complete disinfection afterwards and giving a facility that it becomes a huge part of it. And especially not so much in a concert environment or an arena, because we don't see nearly the problems there as we would where people are living together and in enclosed spaces like in a classroom or in a cruise ship or an airport or something like that. But again, best practices. One system that was really kind of just, it was there, it wasn't real popular, had not taken off, was the electrostatic sprayers and fogging of disinfectants. There was a couple different types of units that was introduced, and they've been around for 5 years or so in the cleaning industry. We didn't see the use of those. Now we're seeing them everywhere. In fact, last summer, it was back in May of last year, as everything just had exploded. A friend of mine had gotten involved with a business doing that. And it's interesting, if you were a school or a healthcare facility, getting those units was very difficult. They were on back order for months because there just wasn't enough units. Nobody was buying them really. And all of a sudden, they were sold out, just kind of like the toilet paper situation. We ran out of toilet paper. Same thing with these sprayers. But it implemented a system that now is being begun to become part of our standard cleaning practices. More and more facilities are using electrostatic sprayers to put disinfectant on so that we can thoroughly disinfect surfaces. Much to what Christina was talking about, getting the backs of seats, getting, underneath things. Those sprayers allowed us to do that. So we implemented a lot of different things that affected us and helped us. So a couple things I want to do. First of all, I'm going to take you guys into our Google Classroom and show you something that I put into the classroom. So, and again, this is not for any testing purposes, but it's more for you guys to benefit from. And in this, it's under a new heading that I put in there, Pandemic and Epidemic Cleaning and Disinfecting. And one of these is a paper that was written by the trade industry, by ISSA, ensuring your facility makes a clean start. And it's dealing with the next phase of COVID-19 recovery. And I put that there, but I want to hit on a few things that stood out to me in this paper. One of the things that stood out was just find my spot because I have it in my printout of notes here. So here it talked about assessing the risk of the virus entering the facility and being transmitted, right? And doing a proper risk assessment. I think one thing I look at is for us to evaluate our buildings and facilities for potential risks. What are those risks and what are we doing to deal with it? So one of the things here on this box that's in blue, basic elements of a site risk assessment. One is identifying hazards. And that, anytime you do a risk assessment, this is some of the things you would do. What are the potential for hazards when it comes to viruses? And what potential viruses? Well, what do we think of in a school? We think of even beyond, as we move past this pandemic, the regular flu virus. Okay. So what could be done? So we identify and observe what people touch, when, and the frequency. Okay. So we're focused on what are those areas that are touched a lot. Have we identified what those are? Okay. Then secondly, how likely is it that a virus would be transmitted on that surface? So, for example, maybe people touching a hand sanitizer dispenser will have a lower likelihood for it to be transmitted. Why? Because they're sanitizing their hands as they're doing it. Whereas perhaps their desktops is a much higher risk. But is it likely that other students are going to touch it? We know in an elementary school, it's not likely that other students are going to be at each other's desk. But in a high school or middle school, absolutely. They have 6 to 8 periods of students coming in through a classroom, sharing desks where, every class is a new group of students. So it's assessing those risks, right? Then prioritizing those from high to low. What are the most important? What are we going to deal with in our processes? Because also we have to think about time. Do we need to allocate more time? And if so, where do we take that time from? So I'll give you an example. In the grocery store industry, what is an area that everybody touches? The most highly touched surface in a grocery store is what?
Shopping carts?
Absolutely, the shopping cart. And has everybody seen what I've seen regarding shopping cart disinfection? Mm-hmm. What was happening 5 months ago, 6 months ago?
They was spraying them and wiping them down.
Yep, they were doing it, right?
Yep.
Are they doing it anymore?
No, it's fade away. Not only that, I'll be seeing employees at the grocery store wiping down handles, like going to the refrigeration, getting milk.
Yep.
Now they slow down.
During the pandemic, when it was at its height, it was a process. And the cleaning service I was working for, we bumped up the amount of time we were spending in a facility from 6 hours to 8 hours in a store, because we would spend almost 2 hours a night disinfecting of surfaces. And that did not include the grocery carts. The store personnel did those. We were doing every handle to every refrigerator to every freezer every night. And when you disinfect, you have to give dwell time, right? So you had to wipe it down, and you had to wipe it down enough that it would thoroughly do it. And to keep the cost down, we used a high quality disinfectant, because labor was more important than the cost of the chemical, that had a very quick contact or kill time, 5 minutes. So we'd spray it down and they'd walk down, then they have to come back and wipe them all. So it was a lot of labor. Now, that's not happening at all. The same is true with relation to the shopping carts. So from that, have they done a good job of their risk assessment? Not really. So, and there's methods that are out there that they could be using that they're not doing. Nelson, I think you're talking, but you're muted. I see your mouth moving.
No, I was talking to my granddaughter. She was going
Okay.
to school.
No worries. Okay. So anyway, the point is we want to do this risk assessment, but then we want to make sure that we prioritize it. Our next step is determine what process we would use for doing that, and then finding a way to test for that. So let me show you something. Again, I'll go back into our Google Classroom. I put together some really cool graphics that I got from ISSA. So this one is just a simple thing, the proper use of disinfectants. And again, I hate that they put in response to coronavirus, because let's be honest, we need this to be in response to all pathogens. How we deal with these pathogens is important. One, making sure it's effective against whatever that pathogen we're dealing with is. Number two is understanding how long it needs. So first of all, does it have that seal of approval that it has been registered as a true disinfectant? If we're not sure, we can back that up by checking websites. We can go to US EPA. We can even go to, there's a website called US EPA List N, which is the list of every type of disinfectant and its approval. So very helpful source. But the other thing is to properly clean with them. One is, it says spray and stay. Disinfectant dwell times can range from 10 seconds to 10 minutes. Make sure we read the instructions and we know how long it needs to come in contact. The second is what we've all talked about for a long time: clean first, disinfect second. Disinfectants work best when there is no biological material, nothing that's a food source for it. So we want to clean it, remove all the dust and debris and other contaminants from the surface. If you're using a wipe, use a wipe for one surface. Don't use it to clean multiple keyboards. One wipe, one keyboard. Okay, so we could flip it over if we're using a cloth, but the one and done principle. And then hand washing. I think Nelson, you mentioned it, but hand washing is so important. Are we washing our hands after everything? If we touch surfaces, if we're doing cleaning, after we've cleaned an area and removed our gloves, wash your hands. Wash your hands after you've eaten. Wash your hands before you return to work and put on new gloves. Wash your hands after you clean an area. If you're going from one cleaning area to another, for example, cleaning restrooms to maybe cleaning classrooms, change your gloves. Good best practice to avoid cross-contamination. So that tool is fantastic. The other tool I put in here, and this one is one of my favorite, it's a good tip sheet. So it deals with basically some information that was put together by the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. And it's basic protocols for dealing with, in this case, COVID-19, but I think it's for the entire, all pathogens. First thing is to do a risk assessment. We just talked about that. Pre-disinfect. Okay, what is pre-disinfect? Well, let's look at what we're talking about when it says pre-disinfect. Actually, let's go back to that risk assessment because we'll just walk through this. The idea of a risk assessment, asking questions. What is the risk that was involved? If, for example, we're notified that there's an outbreak in a particular facility, for example, in your school, if your supervisor notifies you that you guys have an outbreak of a virus, what are you dealing with? Well, first of all, you want to get all the facts, okay? Are we going to be dealing with interim disinfection where we're dealing with prevention? Or is this now responding to a known incident, an outbreak? Okay. And then what kind of outbreak is it? Is it COVID-19? Is it norovirus? What is it? You want to get as much information as possible. Identify the hazards. Okay. Is there any other potential hazards involved? Once you do this, you would document that. And then communication. So this is where supervisors would communicate with everybody involved. The risk mitigation plan, okay? It talks about, will you be conducting a pre-biotest? I'm going to show you what we're talking about that in relation to this. This is a testing that can be done to determine the levels. How dirty is it? And then have we removed that risk? We do a follow-up testing. And then it's a plan, okay? What areas are we going to clean? What strategies are we going to use? What do we need to accomplish it? Okay? And everything, it's a complete risk or a plan to how we're going to clean it. What PPE are we going to need? What are we going to do? Is this something that is such a contagious disease that we need to do special laundry? For example, if you were in a healthcare facility and you had an issue with C. diff, then the laundry itself has to be marked that it is for that because it needs special laundering protocols. So the laundry department would need to be notified. Okay? So all this is done as part of procedures. And again, this document is in your Google Classroom. If you're in a situation where there's a visible contamination, such as filth, vomit, blood, bodily fluids, any of that, this is where we do the pre-steps, right? And that is spraying first, and then cleaning it, and then we're going to disinfect a second time, okay? That's especially true when we're dealing with bodily fluids, and it's a two-step process. So all these things that are outlined here are outlined as steps for you guys that can help. And so more than anything, it's being aware and having a plan of action. What are you going to do to protect yourself? How are you going to do it? And by developing that plan from the get-go, you start to have a plan that works towards prevention, not just response. So, for example, you guys have a healthcare building as one of the 2 buildings that you guys are cleaning. In a healthcare environment, what preventative measures can be taken to help you guys? Any thoughts? Nobody? Nobody can think of any preventative measures that you guys could take?
Well, I think I'm not in the medical off the top of my head because I work at Sutter. I think I'll be seeing them wear the PPE and they wiping down whatever they touch, and they also handing masks to patients.
Okay.
And also having having the patient wipe down after their self in the facility.
Okay. Don, you had your comment.
Temperature checks.
Temperature checks. That's an interesting one, but In medical facilities, I think that it's becoming far more often or far more common. And from a cleaning standpoint, though, what is
Oh,
some of
cleaning.
the
Sorry.
cleaning ones that we would think of? Mark, I know you're not feeling well, but Mark, go ahead.
Probably just to have somebody around cleaning on a regular basis. Just yeah, just basically cleaning. Wipe downs basically as
I
people coming and going.
exactly. And Mark, thank you for adding that. Here's and Don, your hand's still up, so is okay. Good. Here's a suggestion or an idea is part of a plan. When we're dealing with infection prevention, that's what we're talking about, infection prevention. The way we would accomplish that is a plan that involves everybody, okay, not just the custodial staff. For example, you guys mentioned some good ideas. Wiping down regularly. Some cases where the patients do, but others, nursing staff, medical staff, if we're dealing with a doctor's office, a lot of times they will have medical assistants. They're not nurses or doctors, but they've been trained enough to do things like temperature checks, blood pressure, those kind of things. Those same processes we could teach and have them as part of that process to disinfect after every patient that comes through, right? Great, simple process. Another is isolation. If somebody has a communicable virus, okay, one that would be airborne. So you have the flu, you have COVID, you have whatever that is something that could be spread. A simple thing, Nelson, you just hit on it. Make them wear a mask. Isolate them in a separate room from those who are coming in for normal checkups and physicals, right? Because some of the times we go into the doctor's offices just for preventative means. We have a normal checkup. Maybe you have high blood pressure. You don't necessarily have a virus. You're there because of other things that are just stuff you need to deal with. But somebody who has a virus, having them in a separate waiting area that it wouldn't be spread can help. If cleaning is done throughout the day, where we're disinfecting touch point surfaces, it will reduce the biological load, okay, of pathogens that are there. So when we go to clean, we can be more effective. We mentioned before, and I'll continue to emphasize it, the use of sprayers. I am such a huge fan of these electrostatic sprayers because even if we're not having to do every inch of the area, if we've identified these are our touch points, at the end of all of our normal cleaning, in a matter of minutes, we could go through and hit all the touch points with an electrostatic sprayer and more effectively disinfect all those key areas quickly. So what would be those key areas? I'm going to switch over to a school right now. If I had, and it was my decision, right, and I'm looking at it, I would spend my money on electrostatic sprayers for every single school site. I'd have one in every site. And at the end of the day, after the cleaning's done, the last thing that a custodian would do would be to go in and spray down all the desks, all the handles in the entire building. How long would it take? How many classrooms, Dawn, I'm going to draw on you for a second. How many classrooms did you and Christina come up with in the school site?
About 39. That's counting like the little computer room. So about 39.
Okay. 2 custodians, right? To
Yeah,
clean 39 rooms? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 custodians, 39 rooms. We include the library. We include office space, restrooms. We might be up to as many as 50 rooms when we all that.
More than that.
Okay. So we have all these spaces. if we're using a sprayer and just quickly, we could spray a classroom in a matter of about 2 minutes. Okay? Because it is quickly walking through and spraying down the desks. Okay? It's desks and it's the touch points, the door handles, right?
Yes.
So now let's just do a quick time study. Let's just bump it up and say we had 60 areas, right, to do times
Yeah.
2 minutes. That's 120 minutes. So that's 2 hours of time. Divided by 2 custodians, that's an hour each at the end of their shift. So granted, where do we take that time from? If we're cleaning properly and we improve some of our cleaning techniques, we're not having to disinfect as we go. We could literally even have it on our cart and they're doing it as they clean that room. It's not that extra hour of cleaning. It's an extra minute of cleaning. So it really becomes a lot easier to do as you're doing it. But the fact of the matter is, when you go about doing this, if it's incorporated into your process, it becomes just something we do and we can become very quick at it. Mark.
Well, I guess you'd say about 8 minutes from the 10 minutes on dwell time if you was to use a disinfectant, wouldn't you?
We don't have to worry about wiping it down with an electrostatic sprayer. So it's literally only, yeah, you're right. If we were doing spray and wipe down, we would save time by going that route. So, but most important, okay, and this is where we have to think in terms of why this is a value. Schools are paid to have students in the classroom. That's where they make money to be able to pay for the teacher salaries and so forth. That's where the funding comes from, is student attendance rates. When we don't have students in classrooms, it's going to affect this. We had to get very flexible this last year, and the last 2 school years, all of our kids were able to do what we're doing right now, the Zoom classrooms. Up until the pandemic, we didn't even do this class that way. This was all done on site in person. When we look ahead to that, we're going to expect students to be in classrooms. So that attendance rate, keeping people healthy, is going to be critical. And it's worth the investment. I'm getting up on a soapbox a little bit, and I want to back down on that, but I want you guys to see the value of these processes and you thinking in terms of, what am I going to do to help protect? Obviously, you don't have those sprayers. You don't have these things there. However, use whatever you do have, and as well, communicate with your management that, what are we going to do? What is our preventative measures? And that's the message I'm trying to get out to every school district I talk to is, what are you going to do for preventative measures? Have you reviewed documents like this to ensure that you have not only a clean start, but also a healthy program? Now, I want to hit on one last thing in this whole area of dealing with disinfecting. And to show you, we have the tools. This is not something we have to go reinvent. There is a testing method that can be done, especially when we're dealing with what we would call forensic cleaning or restoration, where there's been an outbreak. We need to go in and determine, did we clean it thoroughly? Is the facility safe for reopening? And it's called ATP testing. Anybody ever heard of ATP testing? Nobody? Okay. Well, let's take a look at this. I'll share with you this quick video about it, and we'll discuss it for a minute, because it is something that we've been using for years.
As we're working to create cleaner and safer environments for customers, employees, tenants, one of the things we need to understand is how to tell if a surface is actually clean. One way to determine if a surface has been properly cleaned we get from the food and beverage industry, and that's something called ATP testing. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is actually an energy molecule that's found in all living organisms. By using an ATP meter, or this is a luminometer that measures ATP on a test swab, what we can do is determine how much ATP is on the surface that we've cleaned, both before and after cleaning. And what this does is it helps us to dial in our best practices for cleaning, and it helps us make sure that what we're doing for cleaning and disinfection is as effective as we'd like it to be. Let's talk about how to actually ATP test a surface. The first piece we need is one of these pre-moistened swabs. Here we're using an ultra-snap swab, and these effectively collect a sample from the surface that we want to test, and then there's a liquid solution in the top bulb that we let go down toward the end of the swab. We shake this up, put it in the luminometer, and what we get back is a measurement of relative light units. Now, RLUs, or relative light units, basically give us a measure of how much ATP was on the surface, and again, that corresponds directly to how much organic material or dirt or potentially bacteria is left on the surface as well.
This particular meter, let me get out of that screen. This particular meter that they were showing, this ATP, if you guys ever have any of your management talk about doing testing, it's not testing for bacteria. It's testing for the amount of soil or contaminants on the surface. So it's really testing for cleanliness. And if we use the proper cleaning practices and products that we would use, we're going to find that we can be very effective. It's a great way to measure, is the building clean or not? So this measurement tool is part of a whole process of creating a plan for being able to test. And so from that standpoint, if you were to create a plan for being able to deal with, and this question came up, and this is the part of the big reason why I wanted to include this lesson into this class. The question was asked by Tony Almeida, who's the manager of Elk Grove's custodial department. What is your plan for dealing with a COVID-19 outbreak? Okay, how are you going to handle it? What are you going to do? So from that standpoint, before we kind of pick it apart, let me ask you, what has been your plan at schools in dealing with that? What have you guys been trained on? So I'm calling on like Mon and Christina, Dawn,
Disinfecting,
Nelson.
cleaning and disinfecting, that's a big plus, like all touch points. Proper PPE.
So if you have an outbreak, you're cleaning all the touch points, right?
Yes.
So what would that include for you guys? I mean, because Christina mentioned a few areas.
I can give you a small breakdown. So before we even put the key in the door, we're wiping down the outside of the door. Then we open the door, we wipe down the inside of the door. We go to the light switches, and then we go to the paper towel dispenser, sink area, and then
AC.
go into desks and teachers' areas towards the back. Usually we hit the teachers' area and if they have two doors, the back door and the last window, or light switch and stuff, and then we spray it.
And you spray it with what?
Genion. We're still using that.
Okay. All right. So if that was, if we're using that as a case, and that's fantastic because you're hitting all your touch points, you're walking through. We don't have to worry about the floor, okay? We don't have to worry about the walls and the ceiling. Okay. It's not, we're dealing with where this virus lives and spreads, and it's on the touch points. Those desktops, I love the AC unit as far as the thermostat, the light switches, the drinking fountain, the tabletops, all those areas getting hit. If we're cleaning in a medical facility, what are those areas? So now I'm calling on Stephen, Amon, Maria, you guys, this is your area. What would you be thinking in terms of that you would hit if you had a known outbreak? Let's say an employee came to work sick and we found out that they had been diagnosed, on the weekend, because on Friday they started feeling sick. They came to work and they were there working. Okay. What would you do? What would be your process? Thinking in terms of the same thing that the school did, what might you do? Nelson.
If it's an employee, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, if it's an employee, I just start from his entrance and backtrack from there. Time clock, rooms he's possibly been in, but it's the same thing. Doors, doorknobs, doors itself, things of that nature. Chairs, break rooms, definitely break rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the old contact, who he had contact with.
Yep. So our process would be touch point disinfection is, I think, the key that we're looking for, and you guys all hit it. And that's what I was hoping everybody's grasping, is that touch point disinfection. Are we hitting all those key areas, right? Using a disinfectant that's going to be effective on those key areas. But again, another critical element of it. So we would do this touch point disinfection. Extra steps that could be done. Go in and first do ATP testing beforehand, and then do it after to be able to document that it's done. Is it required if we're dealing with schools? Probably not. But is it a service? And especially, I would think if I was a cleaning service and I was cleaning a medical building, I would have a written process that says we would go in, ATP test critical areas. We would do 5 tests or 10 tests on touch points of handles. We would do, a certain amount of tests on a variety, in a break room, in the office, in the patient rooms. And then we would do a test after we've done those areas to see that we've reduced the numbers, and document that and provide that to the customer. I would also include as my process that I would use electrostatic sprayers. I would go in and wipe down all those surfaces and clean them. So I want to make sure, in particular, the areas that that person may have been working in. So their office, the office spaces, the break room. If this person dealt with the patient rooms, that means I'm going to make sure all the patient rooms are thoroughly clean. Then I'm going to go through and disinfect everything. And again, I'll measure that, and I give measurable results. Measurable results are huge. It gives reassurance. One of the things I liked about this document is it made an interesting point, and again, this is there for you guys to read, is about visible cleaning. How much reassurance does it give to staff when they see your presence going in and not just cleaning but disinfecting, right? For example, at the airport, if we see cleaning staff going around and using an electrostatic sprayer, or in a grocery store using a disinfectant or a spray bottle, and they're wiping down door handles, don't you feel a little safer in that facility? Did you feel a little safer in the grocery stores when you saw a person that their job was to clean the cart before ever you touched it, and they had a process. I know for me, when I saw the Rayleigh stores had a area where they were disinfecting and they were giving dwell time, right? They weren't just spraying it, but they were wiping down the handles, they were wiping down the inside, they would spray the cart and let it sit outside, and then they bring a group of carts in and they would say, here you go. I felt reassured. I felt safer shopping in that store because they had taken steps, visible cleaning. I could see it. So that would be the other thing, is being able to, if they can't see what we do because we have to do it at night, giving them something that they could see that doesn't just look clean, but it's documentation. Hey, guess what? We measured our results. We did ATP testing before and afterwards. How much reassurance would you have? Okay. Put yourself in the position of being an employee in that medical office, coming to work, knowing that the cleaning service came in and did a deep clean and deep disinfection using electrostatic sprayers, and here's the testing data. Would you feel more reassured? Part
Yes.
of our cleaning isn't just to clean, it's also to help people to feel safe. Okay? And that's what we all have to understand. Our role in the business is, it's twofold. One is it's that sense of security that people are going to feel because we do our jobs right and we can provide documentation. So again, what I would say is, this is not part of your final project. It's not something you have to do, but if you guys wanted to, as a class, we could do this together, and we can put just something together on Wednesday of next week. That's our protocol that we would come up with and add into our presentation that says, here's our COVID protocol. I think the school part you guys have pretty well down. So why don't you guys have, as part of the project, put something together and let's discuss it and see if that makes sense. Put it into your presentation as, here's our COVID protocol, or you might even call it our outbreak protocol, because it's not just for COVID, it's for any pathogen or epidemic that might occur at that facility. So does that make sense? You guys think that would be a good idea? Not trying to add a lot of work.
Would the protocols be all the same?
Pretty much.
Wouldn't the protocols be all the same regardless for where you're at? Because it's
yes, and that's
people in contamination, what you're dealing with.
Yep. So I think if we deal with it as a class, we can have one protocol that we will share, and let's present that as just one separate protocol. You know, here's our epidemic and pandemic cleaning and disinfecting protocol. This is what we're going to use for facilities. Doesn't matter what kind of facility we clean in. And I think that it goes a long ways in having a clear understanding of good, safe practices in how we do things. So, and I'll help you guys with that. I'm looking forward to Monday and Wednesday, us kind of finalizing, wrapping this up, and pulling it all together. So, okay. That was the part I wanted to deal with related to the us dealing with pandemic and epidemics. So
recording stopped.
Okay. So the next portion of our class today, just wanted to spend a little bit of time in dealing with your guys' project work and answering questions or helping you guys out with any. So let me bring up our Google Classroom again, because I want to kind of go over a couple of these things. All right. All right, so as we look at our final projects, what we're looking for is that you guys have identified the areas of your site, what the floor areas are in that, what your square footage of each of those areas, and a list of daily cleaning procedures broken down by area to be cleaned. I'm doing the estimated time, so that's my role for you. We don't need to list all the equipment, materials, and supplies. So this first portion is the daily cleaning. The second portion is what periodic cleaning procedures for site are you guys using? To that extent, what equipment, materials, and supplies will you need for that? And then I'm not worried about you guys doing the time. I'll help you with that. I put together some samples for you guys to use to take a look at different cleaning checklists or different examples of what this might look like. So this one is one I've used in the past, but I like the way they do it because it's clean and simple. It breaks it down and shows, here's my daily cleaning. And for you guys, you have 5 different areas, right? So I would expect something that shows me the daily cleaning of, here is my office area, here's my restrooms, so forth. So each of your different areas. What additional tasks need to be done perhaps weekly? And then we get into the periodic, and this could be changed instead of monthly, it could say periodic. And what areas need periodic? So you might say, these areas are carpeted, this is my periodic cleaning for carpeting. These areas are VCT, here's my periodic cleaning for the VCT. So breaking that down for it. Now this particular facility had something as a periodic cleaning called an initial clean, where they came in and did a detailed cleaning as they started an account. Not something you guys need to do, but it was an example. Let me show you another one. Another was a friend of mine did this for his. Dawn, go ahead. You had a question.
So do we have to list weekly cleaning as well too, or are we just focusing on the daily?
Focus on your daily and then your project. In our assignment, I was showing you examples. So here's another way that you could do it to show that you say, hey, I don't need to do this every day, but this particular presentation or one is for an office area, and here he has the entrances, lobbies, and front offices. Again, it's just a sample, but here's the task list that he does, and some of them he says, I don't need to do this every day. For example, he does his high dusting monthly, but he does spot cleaning daily. He does his vacuuming, and notice what he does. He says he calls it spot vacuuming of the carpet 4 days a week, but detail vacuuming once a week. Again, you guys know your areas, you know your buildings. Are you going to vacuum wall to wall? You might just say vacuuming. That's fine. But this was what he did. Okay? He had the glass doors where he just cleans those once a week thoroughly, but every day he does spot cleaning where it's just the fingerprints. Okay? Does that make sense? The way he broke it down? So those are options you guys can use. One more option that could help is, and this is an Excel worksheet, so you guys can download this. You can open it up in Excel. This was an office cleaning checklist, and it listed all the items, and was it being done daily or just once a week? This was given out more as a list to the employee. What I'm looking for is going to look more like these first 2 ones that would be given out to management. So I wanted you to see more the format of it. I'm not so worried about the service days, but the format where you guys break it apart by the 5 areas, the task lists, right, of what's going to be done, and is it done daily or what. So there was one there, and again the second one was this one from Janicki. So that's what I would be looking for, is something when I'm going to be evaluating this. I want to see this. And the reason I want it broken apart by those 5 areas is that each of you is going to contribute a portion of this. And guys, what I want to do is put it together in a simple document. It could be Word, it could be using Google Docs, but just a simple document. I don't want this to be quite like your first presentation where you guys did a full big old plan. I want to see more of very precise. This is our checklist of what we're going to do, right? Imagine that your role is to take this simple task list and be able to give it to an employee and say, this is what we do, right? So this is more of a keep it simple, a very simple presentation. It shouldn't take us a long time. Each one of you in your team will, if it's your area to clean, you will present your portion of it. Okay, does that make sense? So for example, Maria, you're working in the office where you're cleaning the medical office, right? What is your area to clean, Maria?
The restrooms.
Okay, so what I want to see is a task list of what you're going to do for restrooms. Okay, and this is my daily cleaning task list. Then from there, you will have your daily cleaning. So all 5 of you have an area of daily cleaning. And then you are guys, as a team, you'll have your project list. Now the project list is going to be a separate one. So let me show you an example. Okay. So that's my daily cleaning. What I wanted you guys to see, this is my daily cleaning. Your separate sheet will be a project list, but the project list should include at the top the equipment, materials, and supplies, and then below it, the procedures. Okay? That's the way I want to see this for all of you guys. So from that standpoint, the project list, if it's saying for the medical building, you have the carpeted areas. Here's my carpeted areas. These are, and this is my project list. This is, we are going to do these things. Now, to that extent, I want something additional. I mentioned process, but there's a terminology that we used the other day, and I realized I did not talk enough about that. It's called methods. Okay? To identify a process, you need to know the method of cleaning. For example, what would be a method of floor care? What is a method of restoration? One of the methods we've discussed before. Stripping and waxing of floors, right? That's the method. We're going to strip and wax, but what kind of strip and wax? Is it going to be a chemical strip and wax? Or is it going to be a chemical-free strip and wax? Is it just going to be a top scrub or deep scrub of the floor? Okay, is that going to be using chemicals or chemical-free? So I want you to identify for me the method and then identify that tool. So please make sure you identify the methods for your floor care and then the method for your carpet care. On carpet care, as I mentioned before, identify, are you going to use an interim method? Are you going to use a restorative method? Okay, I'm not telling you which one you have to use. You may say, hey, we're only going to use interim cleaning. We're just going to bonnet clean our carpet year round. And we're going to do it, at these times. That's your decision as a team. Or you may say, as a school, we know based on our experience, we can do this, but I also want to do this. So I'm going to do a deep extraction once a year, but I'm going to do interim cleaning, and I'm going to use a bonnet cleaner, or I'm going to use a low moisture carpet cleaning system. You guys determine that. Is that making sense to you guys?
So like as far as, so you want us to put it all on one basically, we'll just say one paper,
Yes,
as far
and
as
it
our
might be
deep
several
cleaning.
pages. Yep. So let me show
So
you. I'm going to type it real quick and just kind of give you an idea. So give me a second here to open up a Word document, and then I'll show you guys an example of what I'm talking about.
so one person would then present that deep cleaning procedure.
Yeah, and I would probably say it would give an opportunity for two different people to present, maybe one for the carpet and one for the hard floor. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So my Word document's opening up here, so I'm going to share that with you guys. So what I see here is the daily cleaning tasks by area. Okay, so that means all 5 of the areas, right? You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those areas could be, as I'm just going to use this as an example, the office, right, and the restroom, and then you'll have your other areas. So I expect to see that first. That's going to be the first part of this. Okay. Then the periodic cleaning. What periodic cleaning are you guys going to do? I want to see a carpet plan and a hard floor plan. Within the carpet plan, it should have what method, okay, what equipment, materials, if I can type right here, supplies, and then the process of that method. Okay, and the same is going to be true for the hard floor.
Can you explain what you mean by process? It's like how would we do it, right?
Yep. So the method is, okay, so the method would be, for example, is it going to be bonnet cleaning or extraction cleaning?
Okay.
Okay, those are methods. The process is the steps for that method.
Okay.
Okay, based on what you guys have learned, and we have covered pretty much all the carpet cleaning systems. We've talked about which ones are good and which ones are bad. You guys are deciding which method you're going to use, and then the same thing you're going to do for the carpet, right? I mean, for the hard floor. What method? Are you going to be doing strip and wax annually, or scrub and recoat? And how often, right? That's the method. Then the materials and supplies, and then to that extent for the process. What steps are you going to use to do that process or that method? Does that make sense? So this first part should be fairly easy. You guys should have already pretty well gotten that. This is this last part that we are now bringing together, is you guys looking at that. And in all honesty, you've already done most of this work through your work over the last couple of weeks. You guys have gone through and identified what materials, equipment, supplies for carpet cleaning. You've identified the different methods. So from that standpoint, that's what I'll expect. I will post this in the classroom as a template that you guys could use. And this is how easy this is. This is one document. Has those dailies, has the periodic. Try to make it look nice. We don't need to do a PowerPoint presentation. I've decided as I started looking at this going, what is it that I want to see? I don't need to see a lot of fluff to this. I don't need to see videos and so forth. I want to make sure that you guys understand having a plan. And if you were to hand this off to an employee, would they know what to expect from it? Right? If you were, and Tyler, you don't have any cleaning experience. You're new to this business. If I handed you a document that clearly outlined what was expected of you, would it make your life a little easier?
Yeah.
Yeah. For each of you. So that's what this document is. This document is something that you created as a team that you could turn around and take and show to another employee and say, this is how we're going to clean this building. So what does this involve for you guys? This is critical thinking. It's being able to analyze data. You have analyzed and decided as a team what is the best method possible for maintaining that facility. Okay? You made decisions early on as to what your facility would look like. Now you're pulling this together and saying, this is how we're going to do this. Right? Here's how we're going to clean this building. This is a cleaning plan, guys. This is exactly what, as a manager, if I asked one of my supervisors, give me a plan for how you're going to clean the building, this is what I would expect. So I want to be able to see as management that I can ask a supervisor or a lead to be able to do it. And what you guys did before in your basic class is you guys identified a process so that I knew as a teacher that if I sent you out to go clean a building, you could, with very little instruction, be able to figure out what to do, right? You knew what equipment to pick out. You knew what materials and supplies you would need, not by brand name, but by type of product. That you knew you would use a neutral floor cleaner to mop a floor. You knew that for disinfecting, you would use a disinfectant, and that for general purpose cleaning, you might use a cleaner that had a pH of 7.5 to 8. So you knew that. Now we're taking it to that step of saying, do you now know how to clean the entire building, including the periodic? Because if you guys want to make good money, you want to be responsible for a building. Okay, that would be the role. So in a school district, this role here, this is the site supervisor. Okay, within Elk Grove, you currently have opportunities for site supervisors at high schools. Okay, this could be a lead custodian that's the day custodian at an elementary or middle school. That's the roles that you guys would be qualified to be able to take on with this training and you being able to apply it. Now, those of you who don't have the cleaning experience, you're getting the knowledge now. Now it's a matter of you getting that practical experience. And as that all comes together, you can go out and be into a lead role faster than somebody who comes in off the street and has no understanding of the cleaning world. It puts you guys on a much faster track to being able to be a lead or a site supervisor. Okay? So, that's what we're looking for with it. I decided, as I was looking over this.
Reference?
What's that? I missed you, Christine. What'd you say?
Can we use you as a reference?
Yes. Yeah, you guys absolutely can. Everybody that goes through this advanced course, you absolutely can reference not only that you completed it ISSA certified, but I'll be more than happy to talk with any employer. And a lot of you, if you're applying for positions, you want to put that down. You not only want to put your certification, but in the references, I am definitely one of the people you would want to use as a reference. Therese can be a reference to a certain extent as well. But from the standpoint of as the instructor, yes, I absolutely can do that. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes in your breakout rooms to basically discuss some of this. If you have any, based on what I just discussed, I'm going to post this in the Google Classroom while you guys are in that and allow you guys to reference it. But you guys can talk amongst yourselves in your breakout room. And last thing I want to touch on before we go into breakout rooms. Saturday's plan. Saturday is window cleaning. Now, we are going to be using, I'm going to pick it up today, we're going to use the Unger window washing system that you saw demonstrated in the video. That is the deionized water. So we're going to have a chance to use that. Is my internet real glitchy for you guys?
Yes. You're like,
Yeah. I just saw my video really choppy, so. Okay, hopefully it's better. Okay. We'll do the breakout rooms. Everybody be there at 9 o'clock on Monday. On Saturday, sorry. Saturday. Okay. By the way, 2 hours is all we need on Saturday.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we will be done by 11 o'clock. So this will not take us a long time, but everybody's going to get a chance to do window squeegee method too. Okay. All right, let me set up the breakout rooms real quick.
Good morning.
Good morning. Christina, thank you for saying that.
What about the reference?
Yeah, because straight up, this has been a pretty in-depth process. I'm new to it. You all aren't. That, you're sharing your best practices, but I mean, we're being asked a lot. And then at the end of it, we mentioned it a little while back. We need to get these references. So I appreciate you saying that.
I ask a lot of questions all the time, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because we committed a lot of time to this. So they need to see that when we go to panel interviews, like, hey, who have you messed with? What are they going to say about your work ethic? I mean, they might not know work ethic, but they'll know we showed up, we participated, and so on. So.
Yeah, that is good to know that he is willing to give reference. So.
Yeah, that is good.
So I guess now we have to put it all on paper, just what we're going to do periodically, right? For the deep clean of the floors or whatnot.
Yeah, he had a lot of different ways he was trying to break that up.
I know. Now I just feel really overwhelmed and confused.
Yeah, let's not get into the weeds too far, because I thought I was in the bushes there for a second, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't need to be in these bushes.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So he was saying that we don't before, no pictures, no nothing, right?
Yeah, no.
He wanted
simple. Yeah, simple, just a PDF basically.
Yeah, he's like hard and fast Word document, just a little flow. You hand it to someone new and then they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty easy. I mean, you can even pull that off the internet, I guess. But
Good.
yeah. Well, I wish he had said something like that in the beginning.
Yeah, because then you just let your mind go wild, yeah, on what you need to do.
Yeah.
So each department will come up with their own daily cleaning and they project there, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we got to combine basically all of our periodic project, the deep cleaning project, onto one. Basically, that's my understanding, right?
That's what I understood as well.
Yeah, because he was trying to break it out hard floor procedure and carpet procedure, being that it's more involved interim and project wise, is what I was grasping.
Okay, that's what okay. Tyler, do you have your daily cleaning procedure written out?
I'm not sure what to put on it.
It's pretty much basic, like wiping down counters, dumping trash, wiping down touch points even now, sweeping, mopping.
Oh, okay then.
Because you got I think, did you decided to do the like polished concrete, right? So that's pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. It's just, mopping with water, really.
Okay.
It's up to you. You can do whatever you like, but if I'm just trying to keep it simple for you. Everyone else already have their daily cleaning stuff?
I was writing mine down, so I just gotta implement it.
Okay, I just have to.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just have to reword a few things, but make it sound a little bit more professional. I said dumping trash when it should be dumping, receptacle or something. So.
Did we have any carpet at all in the classrooms or no?
Yeah. All of the classrooms is wall-to-wall carpet. So
Okay.
I think you decided to do that with the library too, right?
Yeah, the whole library is basically carpet with 2 big mats at the exit entry point.
Okay.
I can hit carpets. It's not a big deal. I mean, I've been looking at these checklists until my eyes cross. So I can hit that. That's not a problem for me. I can hit carpets the whole front and back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Alrighty. Yeah, that's the same with the classrooms too. Okay.
Okay.
And then I think, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For periodic cleaning for the bathroom floor, since it's polished concrete, it would be a maybe twice a year top scrub and recoat.
Okay. It's probably with the same with the office too, if we're going to do polished concrete with the office too.
Yeah. And maybe we can say maybe like every 3 months a high speed just to maintain it.
Okay.
With the white horsehair.
Oh yeah, we got to include what we're using. Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Tyler, you're quiet today. Do you have any input, any questions?
Yeah, yes. All right.
So do we want to like just type up our periodic assignment work project and just kind of pass it around to each other and just kind of and then someone will just type it up all as one, or?
I think Tyler's a fast typer. Tyler should do it. Well, I'll send it all to him.
To Tyler? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's pretty computer savvy.
Are you pretty savvy, Tyler?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or get ready to get bombarded with the emails.
Me and Don might be nice. We might put it on one for you.
Yeah. We could actually maybe work on that tonight.
Yeah.
I can bring my my laptop.
I got to bring mine because I got to do homework anyways at break.
Okay. I mean, I already got some of it. I already typed up because I, sent it to Dave so he can, calculate the minutes. So I kind of already have a little bit on mine already, and I can send it to all of you guys, and you guys can look at it or, use it for your periodics or whatever. So.
Hey, Don, did you get that email I sent you with my minutes, kind of?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I've been so busy this week that I didn't get a chance to respond to you. So what I did is I forwarded it to Dave.
Perfect.
Just in case you didn't, and so this way he could calculate the minutes.
Yeah, that'll work.
It would be easier if we were all in class together to work on the project. I know it's hard, being from home and then having to communicate all back and forth. So.
Well, they want us to stay 6 feet apart and then not ever be in a classroom again.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
I crossed the line of getting into a bubble. I'm not getting into a bubble to walk around ever.
Oh, hell no. I've seen videos of people making their own weird PVC plastic bubbles that they're walking through like Walmart. And I thought, oh my God, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you need personal space from people.
Yeah.
Like I always say, if you're in my bubble zone, you're too close to me, get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the mountains are for in the parks. Just go and be by yourself, because that's what that's for.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
That.
Yeah, everybody has their own bubble zone.
Yeah.
Mine's is very clear.
Yeah. It's crazy, those environments too. Like I got to see before this, I got to actually put my eyes on like the Amazon warehouse process and some other warehouse processes. And you would think that they would be on top of it with all of what we talked about today. And they were not. They would do the temp check at the door. But I mean, when you got a trainer sitting there sweating from his armpits and his collar and from his forehead, and you could tell that he's sick, you're like, wait, what's going on?
Wow, yeah. They wouldn't send him home or speak with him or anything like that, or wipe down anything he's touching?
Not really, no. And to that point, not having a protocol, nothing on the wall, no cleaning staff. I was like, and I know there was staff there. I'm just saying you didn't feel safe because you didn't see it. You're like, wow, shouldn't they be kind of on rotation in this type of environment?
Right, because they're the ones that going out and delivering packages or touching your package and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Are any of you going to go to present the project in person on the 28th?
Not me.
No.
Yeah, I was going to, but I have a class right after, and and I live far, so it takes me 30 minutes just to get over there, and you have to come back and do class at 11. Yeah, so I probably will not go either.
I might go.
Okay. How about you, Tyler?
I'm not really sure yet because I have to take public transit, and it's like I don't know if I'll have time.
Oh, yeah, that can be a hassle.
What time did you say uh, for the 28th for the presentation?
I think it's 9 o'clock.
Hey, Nelson, what shift is Sutter? Is that usually in the morning or at night?
Night.
Okay.
Graveyard, night shift.
Okay.
So you work at Sutter after you get off work at Kennedy?
I just only do Sutter on the weekend.
Oh.
Yeah. It depends on if they have if someone call in, you know, I might go in and fill in the position.
Oh, it's like a subbing position, kind of?
It's a permanent position.
A permanent? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my. I'm down to. I used to have 5 jobs, so I'm down to 2 jobs now.
Oh my god. Oh my
What was
god.
that one skit? I think it was on In Living Color. Hey Man, and he had like 10 jobs. He's
Yeah.
like, hey Man, yeah, I do a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
Is the Sutter pay good, or is it hard to get on there?
Oh, Sutter pay real good. It's not hard to get on. It's just a process. Because when I came on, I didn't know that they were trying to. Because I started there back in 2019, and they were trying to get me to come on back in January of 2019, but I didn't know that it was like almost a 2-week process of training, orientation. I think it was 2 weeks or a week of orientation with pay, and then it might take a month for them to. It might take a month for the application process. It depends on. Yeah, I thought I was going to start, the next day, but no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've tried with Kaiser and with Sutter, and I've gotten not even an interview or a response back. Is the applications, like for Elk Grove, the applications have to be very chunky. So for Sutter, do the applications have to be like really detailed, or?
No, it depends. What were you applying for?
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Let me find out. Let me find out some information, and then I get back with you.
Is that what you do, Nelson? Housekeeping or no?
No.
I've tried with Kaiser as well too, and it's hard.
Yeah, is it environmental tech that you do? Is it underneath environmental EVS or whatnot, Nelson?
No, I do DPS. I do security there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
But I'm there. I also help them in the environment too.
Right on.
Help them out.
I love hospitals. I don't know why, but I just love hospitals. It's weird.
Dawn, why? Please, why do you love hospitals?
You know what? I don't know why. I've had lots of people ask me that, and I don't know why. But when I go into a hospital, I like it, and I thought, man, I really want to work at a hospital. Like I maybe it's the people, like how
like
I don't know. I just find it interesting. Huh?
Like the network shows, it's super cool to like get up in the scrubs you wore the night before, and they go grab their coffee and they all talk to each other. Super cool.
Yeah. Great anatomy.
Yeah.
All right,
Me and Don
that's
kind of
CP.
already do that.
Yeah, we
Exactly. Exactly.
That is.
do. Yeah, I'm a weird one sometimes. I even enjoy visiting old cemeteries. So,
I could probably get with that.
yeah.
The headstones and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Like
Black
anything
Diamond
old and
Mine.
vintage. Yeah.
Black Diamond Mine up in Antioch in the hills, the old mining area. They let you walk through the cemetery that's up there. It's pretty cool.
Oh, really? I've never heard of that cemetery. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, Black Diamond Mines.
Black Diamond Mine. Huh.
All right. So you guys had a chance to kind of talk. I know everybody's pretty well got everything wrapped up. I think you guys have an idea of what we're looking for our final project. So our goal right now, what I would ask you guys to do, make sure you finish your final test on module 3. And then what my goal is that we all are done with testing by the end of the week. If you guys can get that done this week, that'll be wrap up with that so that next week we're not dealing with any of those and no retake issues and so forth. So we can be really wrapped up and finalize everything next week. So, okay.
Okay.
Any questions you guys have about where we're at? Anything you guys have questions about it regarding testing?
What's the due date for the tests?
Like always, you have 60 days from when you started to be able to finish it. However, if you want to be able to have your certificate when we complete, get it done by Monday so that we're done and you will have your certificate, because they will mail out certificates once you've completed. Okay, so you do have up to 60 days from the time that you finish. The thing about it is, for one-on-one help or testing help, our class ends next week on Friday. After that, I move on to other things, so I may not be as available to help you if you have testing questions after the class is over. So that's why I try to get everybody finished with testing. Technically, you want to really be done by Monday, if possible.
Hey, David.
Yes, sir.
As we try to build out these 3 letters of rec, and I know you're super busy, you got a lot of moving parts. When you talked to Therese, did you want to just maybe, I don't know, chew her ear and just say, hey, some of the class is going to start to send you an email saying, hey, can you put together maybe some quick little hard and fast reference?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think both of us are getting in a position. I will say this, guys. We're moving into a really nice time to where we can be of assistance to you guys. When we finish this class, I only have one last class that I'm doing through June out at Rio Consumeness, and then July is our 3-week break. So yes, we'll try and get all that wrapped up and ready, available for you guys for next week. So we can do that.
Cool.
What? You talking about letter recommendation?
Yep.
So you want to send on my? You want to go to my interview for me too?
No. No, I do not.
You look a little different. You're like, yeah, I know. People tell me that.
Yes. My name is Nelson, and yeah, I'll do whatever you need me to do for about $10 an hour. No. The other thing I am asking of you guys, feedback in the form of an email. And this is I'm asking for 2 things. Again, it's not a requirement, but the more you can give me, the better. One thing you learned from this class, something that you would say, and then one thing you would like to see or wish we had covered. Okay? Because I need to review what I've done as an instructor to be able to make sure I can continue to improve as well. So if there's something you felt like man, it would have been nice had we covered it. An example is Mark shared with me when we finished up our basic class. Really helps if we could have hands-on sessions. So, looked at how we were going to make sure we could do some of these hands-on sessions with the focus on showing you guys things that are going to be used. For example, our hands-on session this Saturday. I'm not going to deal with pressure washing of ceilings and dealing with lamp cleaning and so forth. Most of you will never use that. So from that standpoint, it's not something I want to spend a lot of time on. Whereas window cleaning, every custodian I know has to learn how to clean windows. It's something that you do inevitably in the course of janitorial. That's why it'll focus on windows. The bonnet cleaning was an important one because, pretty much that's a basic form of cleaning, and I really wish we would have been allowed to do more extraction cleaning there. Unfortunately, we couldn't, but so that will be something that I'll be working with the district on, saying, can you give us a site that we can go do that where we can truly extract? So,
this might only be 2 cents worth, and I'm sure it's only worth 2 cents. But if you gave us a workflow and we didn't have these protocols and we showed up at a site and it had more than one bathroom, it had more than one hallway, and you say, hey, that's the workflow, there's the equipment, and then you come back, circle back, and you grade how well we did off that workflow, that would just help us going into the workforce.
Okay, it's not a bad idea. I like that, and that might not be a bad one to add in as hands-on as we move forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Tony. All right, and one of the things too, keep in mind, if any of you are wanting to work for Elk Grove, obviously they are currently hiring for substitutes leading into full-time positions. Get that done and get on EdJoin and so forth. That's where Teresa comes in to help. Don.
I was just going to say, yeah, they're desperate for subs right now. The sub pool currently is very, very low. They're actually using some of us to help sites out because there's just not enough people at those sites, as far as they have COVID and they're off or they're vacation or whatever. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you're not currently working, you're looking for work, get in and sign up with EdJoin. So, all right, guys, we will see everybody on Saturday at 9 a.m.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.
All right.
Meeting has been ended.